Despite the extensive searches or inquiries carried out so far, An Garda Síochána has not discovered what happened to Michael on the 20th of March. Michael's family have still had no contact from him. His family and An Garda Síochána are extremely concerned for his well-being. The missing persons investigation into the disappearance of Michael Gaine is ongoing and active. Gardaí are seeking information from anyone who can assist us in bringing Michael back home to his family.
So Gardaí have held a press briefing again today, 22 days after Kerry farmer Mike Gaine went missing. The guards described it as a unique case, and they described the scale of the operation to search for his remains. Can you remind us, Eimear, just, what happened 22 days ago?
Yeah, so basically, Michael Gaine, he was reported missing on Friday, March 21st, but he hasn't actually been seen since the previous day, March 20th. He is a farmer. He had a big farm near Kenmare in County Kerry, obviously. He's a 56-year-old man. He was married with no children. And basically, Mike, the last recorded sighting of him was at a shop, a Centra in Kenmare. He was getting phone credit. And then he was seen leaving he had like a kind of unusual car. It was a bronze coloured RAV4 SUV. And he went home and it was parked at his farm, and it was found there the next day. His phone and wallet were in the car, and there has been no sighting of Mike since. It's been described as really unusual for the man. He was lived in the area pretty much all his life, was very well known, was a very well known liked farmer. So there has been extensive searches for the last 3 weeks. There was initial fears that he may have had a fall, slurry pits and all other types of areas on his farm have been searched, and there's been no sighting of him. And there's obviously extreme concern now for his well-being.
So during the press briefing today, Superintendent David Callaghan, the local superintendent down there, he described the case as unique, and one of the reasons is, I suppose, 3 weeks in, or over 3 weeks in now at this stage, the guards are saying they don't know what has happened to him. Now, we've all been through cases where people go missing and there's, suspicions, or there's a belief, maybe a medical history that leads the guards to have a particular perspective. But in this case, it remains this real mystery. And the Superintendent Callaghan today, he I suppose, brought up the fact that there has been a lot of speculation around what has happened. There's obviously, when some mystery like this occurs, people speak about foul play. Yeah. The guards clearly are saying that they have no evidence of foul play, but obviously there has been local talk about it. And he described, just the extent of the operation. Now, as you said, it's a 1,000-acre farm, so it is a huge area of land that he is on.
Yeah, it is. And I suppose at first there was initial fears that, he had been described as, he was obviously in his 50s, but I think he'd been described as having issues with his knee, and there were initial fears that he may have suffered some kind of accident, but there had been a really extensive search and nothing has come up. And then there was kind of fears that he may have met, as you said, foul play. And that was kind of in the first week, like myself and Nicola spoke about this in the first week of his disappearance, and there was kind of a lot of concern and speculation, as the guards referred to at the time. Now it's kind of, because it's been 3 weeks and there hasn't been anything in the way of a sighting or any kind of evidence, and now it's sort of more confusion, because I suppose they didn't find anything on the 1,000-acre farm, but it is a very rural area. Like it's about an 8-minute drive from Kenmare, but we have had reporters from this company down there, and it does get very rural. A lot of isolated land around there. So I suppose they're doing extensive searches, and they had started with volunteers, and now they have a lot of specialist Gardaí. So they just don't know, but I guess they still probably are keeping an open mind in terms of, people assume because he's been missing for 3 weeks, something must have happened to him, that may have been suspicious, and that's why where the rumours came from. But I guess, we don't know the terrain, and guards are supposed to have to keep an open mind because they're looking for, we have said before that there's fears that they're looking for a body, but we don't know what the nature of the circumstances around it is. So
yeah, now I'll just our own one of our sister papers from the Kerry man, Sinead Kelleher, a reporter down there, was at the press briefing. She would cover stuff for the Media House group, which we're a part of, and Superintendent Callaghan told her that, or told the press briefing that all missing person cases are investigated, but that this case is unique and challenging, and that 3 weeks in, the Gardaí have no idea about the whereabouts of the missing farmer. And he says to be still searching highlights the mystery of his whereabouts. There is no denying the fact that this is the largest search conducted in Kerry in recent times, and this highlighted the volume of support they have received, he said. So he's talked about having 230 lines of inquiry that they're actively pursuing. They've spoken to, I think it's over 100 witnesses.
Yeah.
The Defence Forces and various Gardaí units, including underwater unit and civil defence.
They dredge rivers around there, lakes. There's been 1,500 hours of CCTV harnessed as well. So it's a major.
Despite all of that, I think what they're saying is that, they're not getting any information that they can
suggest anything in terms of suspicious activity.
Well, they're not getting any information in terms of, anything to do with his medical history or anything that and they've spoken to people who he hasn't spoken to anybody.
Yeah.
He hasn't been seen. There's CCTV. Hasn't shown up anything. So what can happen with these cases is that, it can really remain a mystery for a period of time. And that is what has happened then. Now, he has said, in a bid to jog people's memories around the area, said that Michael was last seen in Eimear 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
There is the CCTV of him buying credit in a Centra store, and then they have details. They put out details of his car as well.
Yeah, they did, and the description of him, he was around 5'10" in height, his stocky build, had a bushy beard, his car was a bronze-coloured RAV4 with the registration 152KY366. I suppose, as to add to what you were saying, I guess they don't have any answers. They don't have anything that they found in relation to evidence. But I suppose another thing that it's added the kind of concern and confusion is that this has been anyone we've talked to, the Sunday World have talked to people who know him, as have the Irish Independent and the Kerry man, and everybody has said this is so out of character for him. He was always known to have, been very good, always in very good form, very helpful. There was descriptions of how, he would, if anybody couldn't do any work on their farm for a particular reason, he would weigh in. So I suppose people are just saying this isn't, that I think that was probably where the original fears kind of sprung from, because it was just so out of character. And then I suppose the fact that his personal belongings were found in his car, his phone and wallet, and it was described by other people who knew him that he was basically stuck to his wallet. And there was also talk of how on the day that, so the last known sighting of him is around 10 a.m. on that Thursday in the shop in Eimear. But our colleagues in the Irish Independent have reported how 2 witnesses claim to have seen him drive into a mart that day. Obviously, he was, dealing in cattle and sheep, and there was cattle going on that day, and apparently they said he came in, but there was no CCTV able to pick up his car. But then there was talk of, well, maybe there was a lot of, because they were moving cattle in and out all day, maybe it just was obscured or something like that. But the 2 witnesses insisted that he did come in and turned around quickly and left. But that's not a verified sighting because there's been no CCTV. So we have that. And then I guess we have the other talk about how there was weapons found near his farm, but they have been ruled out, or there has been no definitive link between that and his disappearance. So you have all of these things, and when you put them together, it does paint a picture that, you'd be very concerned for what's gone on here.
Yeah, and of course, there has been a lot of speculation. People in the local area will have heard of it. But you can see from what the guards are saying there that they don't know, and that they don't have any great line that they're edging towards.
No.
The family have also appealed for privacy and
Yeah.
asked for people not to speculate, I think.
They have, yeah. And I guess, it's been very tough for the family because there has been so many rumours going around. But they've had to continue on. Like, there's also a sad story about how, they allowed 8 of his cattle to be sold because they wanted them to be looked after. And, the person who facilitated this said how it was very hard to do, but, it was for their own good. So things like, so they're trying to, I suppose, continue the search and continue on, and they want they want their privacy to do so. But it's very tough, and I suppose the guards there's been so many different lines of inquiries, and we have reported as well about how Mike was a very good person, and that he had there was a former soldier. He was supposed to have been a Marine in the US Army at one point. He's in his 60s. He came here to Kerry a couple of years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, and Mike gave him shelter in one of his outhouses, and he was living there, and he was basically helping him with the farm. And I think he did try and help Gardaí with his inquiries, but didn't have any light to shed on it either. So, there has been every avenue looked at here, and I suppose the hope is with these constant appeals that something will be
and they're appealing, of course, for things like dash cam footage. Speaking about him buying the phone credit at 9:48 and then leaving on to the N71 road. That would be Thursday the 20th of March. So they're asking people, some people do have dash cam footage on their cars or CCTV if people along that route. They might have had that. So, and they're also looking for any images from Friday the 21st of March in the Kenmare Town Malls Gap area to provide that image to the investigation team. Yeah,
and then anyone who generally was travelling on the N71 around just between 9:30 and 10 on that morning as well has been asked to come forward, even if they don't have dash cam, if they just they might have seen something, or so they're opening that up to anybody who might be able to help with their inquiries there. I suppose it's a very busy area as well, Kenmare. It's a beautiful town, and it's Malls Gap would be near the Ring of Kerry, and popular with tourists and stuff like that. So there's obviously a lot of comings and goings in the town, and they've, as we said before, they've harvested 1,500 hours of CCTV. So it just shows the extent of the
biggest ever search, and it also, I suppose, highlights the guards are being very open a bit with where they are, and I do think that's a good thing in terms of the speculation.
I think so, yeah.
So no doubt we'll come back to this if there's any further updates, and thanks, Eimear.
No problem, thanks now.
I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.